Hey everybody, JJ here. Welcome back for another Saturday Zoom networking. I am blessed with my friends, those of you that are here, the relationships that we have built and we're building. It's about networking is about relationships, it's about people. We can't do this business on our own. And we need to build relationships with fantastic people. The guest speaker we have today, oh my gosh, talk about a fantastic person. This woman is an entrepreneur. She's a businesswoman. She's a coach. She's a trainer. She's a teacher. She's a battler. She's a warrior. This woman has faced challenges that would test all of us beyond our furthest dreams, and she's conquered them. Battler of cancer and has come out on top. She's one of my favorite coaches that I had a chance to meet, and I had a chance to meet her in person. And with no further ado, I'd like to introduce you guys to JoAnna Anderson. JoAnna, how are you today?
I'm doing great, JJ. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. You know, I knew of your name long before I met you. You are one of the most highly regarded coaches out of the educational program that I had started with 3 years ago. And to have met you at Ignite 2 years ago, and watched your presentation and have you come up to me in the hall and say, can I mention your name in my presentation? I was like, oh my gosh, of course you can mention my name in your presentation. I love you to pieces. Really quick, just to summarize before I get into it, I know you get into more detail. Briefly, what will you be telling everybody about today?
So today we're going to be talking about taking your retirement into your own hands through self-direction. We're going to talk about creating wealth that can last a lifetime and on to the next generation. We'll be talking about self-directed IRAs, solo 401ks, and even self-directed health savings account, and a little bit of Coverdale accounts for your kids. Woo! And all of these things can be self-directed, whether you knew that or not. So today we're going to dig in. I'm also going to share some examples of how I have actually used these things to grow wealth.
Wow. Gold nuggets are coming your way, you guys. Get out your pen, get out your paper. This is going to be a phenomenal presentation. JoAnna, take it away.
So if you are not familiar with self-direction, you are going to be amazed. And if you already have a self-directed account, you'll get to take a sneak peek behind the curtain of how I have used my self-directed account and a little bit of how I plan to use it. So we're going to jump right in. So this is me. These are my handles on social media for Instagram. My business Instagram is remnant_RES. And my personal Instagram is JoAnna, the favored one. Facebook is just Remnant Real Estate Solutions. And I also have a YouTube channel that shows video diaries of my rehabs and also some seller testimonials, which can be very powerful. I would suggest that you do follow all of those, but especially the YouTube channel, because it can give you some great ideas of how to grow your business and also some problems that you might face in rehabbing that I have already solved. So you'll be a leg up. So on today, we're going to be learning about different types of self-directed accounts, how to take control of your future retirement while maximizing growth, and how to choose the right custodian. A little bit about me. I am all about legacy, and the legacy that I leave may or may not be money and properties. I'll definitely be leaving some of those, but it will be the life that I have lived and the life that I've embedded into my children. So these are my two girls, Madison and Reagan, and then my very, very special grand girl, Winnie Rose. And so everything I do, these are my whys. Now, when I say family, it is way more than you probably could ever imagine, as I am the baby of 28 kids. 28, and I'm the youngest. So it is a privilege for me to be able to serve my siblings and most importantly, my nieces and nephews. At last count, I had 65 nieces and nephews, and that is not including any greats. And I have plenty of great nieces and nephews. So I do take pride in educating them also about wealth building strategies, entrepreneurship, and real estate. And so I feel like if I can do this, if I do this as a profession, then I should also add the same value to my family. And I hope that you're doing the same as well. Before becoming a real estate investor, I was a biology teacher, 14 years teaching biology, and I absolutely loved it. But I didn't like the adults. I mean, I liked the adults, but I didn't like the administration and teaching to a test. And it took a lot of my time. So my venture into real estate was about time freedom. I wanted my time back. I wanted to have time to actually go on vacation, time to help my kids with their homework, time to nurture them in a proper way because they are my first responsibility. And so in 2012, I jumped into real estate. So it's been 10 years now since I first started my adventures into real estate investing. Over those 10 years, I have been successful at wholesaling, rehabbing, buying whole. I've done some private lending. And more importantly, I took my education background and I brought it into this industry as well. And I've coached tens of thousands of students and helped them to create the same success that I enjoy today. So my goal today is to also pour into you so that you can continue to spread that legacy that I'm trying to leave behind. I think as teachers, as educators, a piece of us lives on even when we are physically not here. If you think about some of your greatest teachers, I'm sure that some of them might have passed already, but you remember those lessons that you learned from them and you share them. If they're good lessons, you pass it along to the next generation. So today we are going to be talking about retirement. Primarily, we're going to talk about some other things too, but first let's get into some retirement basics. Many of us think that we can't retire until a certain age. So we wait till we're a certain age in our adult lives to begin preparing for retirement. But retirement should start early. So here are some things that you may or may not have known. Full retirement age in the US is currently 65 to 67 years of age, depending on your birth date. And when I say full retirement age, I'm talking about Social Security benefits, because obviously you can retire earlier than that. Some people have the mindset that you cannot retire until 65 or 67, but that's only due to Social Security. You could easily retire from the military after 20 years, or you could retire early. Teaching is 20, 30 years. And many other professions, you can retire before 65 to 67. But this number is embedded in most people's heads, so they don't have the expectation to stop working for money until they get to 65 or 67, which really is a big fat lie. So also, did you know that on average, Social Security will replace only about 40% of your annual pre-retirement earnings? Okay, only 40%. So I know a lot of people in my family, folks that I know, think that when they get to 65 or 67, the government's going to take care of them. And that's just not true. It's only set up to replace 40% of your pre-retirement income. Did you know that you should plan to live off of 80% of your current annual salary in retirement? 80%. And that's because once we retire, we stop paying certain things. So some of those things will go away. Now, 80% is still twice as much as Social Security benefits are going to provide for you. So where's that other 40% going to come, or 60%? Most people that have 401ks have no clue how much they're paying in fees. And let me tell you, with inflation being at a very, very high rate, most of you are not making any money in your 401ks. You may see that it's showing a growth, but what comes out of that is your manager's fees. And those fees can be higher than your actual gross, where you may be thinking that you're getting 6%, earning 6%. If your manager is taking out 2.5%, then you're not getting 6%. When your retirement grows, your 401k grows, so does their income. So that's why it's so important to self-direct, which we're going to get into later. So also we found that 95% of Americans are not in a financial position to retire at age 65. 5% are deceased. They planned for it, but never got to 65. 54% are dependent on others. And I'm sure you probably have some in your family. 36% are still working after 65 because they can't afford to retire. And 4% are doing okay. 4% of people. So that tells you that we are in a very bad situation. Many of us are in a very bad situation where if we even make it to 65, what is that going to look like? We're probably still going to have to work. Hopefully they'll still need Walmart greeters for some people, but not for the people on this call, because we're going to take action and make sure that our retirement is set and more than we expected. In fact, by the time I reach 65, my money's still going to be making money for me. So forget that 80%. I'll have 180% to live off of. I think it's real key to point out again that Social Security is not designed to be your only source of retirement income. Retirement is not the end of the road. It is the beginning of the open highway. So that's how you should be thinking about retirement. This is not the point where, well, for you, it might be. For me, retirement is not the point where I sit in the rocking chair and wait for the mailman to come or wait to speak to a neighbor or something. That's not what it's going to be for me. It's going to be a whole nother life. It's going to be the start of a new life for me where I don't have the financial stress that comes along with working. I won't have to work to pay my bills. So that's what retirement will be for me. In fact, I'll share with you a little bit about my retirement. I have completely dissolved the lie in my mind that I have to wait until 65. My first retirement is actually going to be in 1.5 years. That's when I'll take my first retirement. I'm going to take a 3-year sabbatical. My daughter graduates next year. And so at that point, she'll go off to college and I'll go off to live my greatest life yet. So I'm going to take 3 years off. And the way I'm going to do that is with my rental properties. So I have to get a certain number of rental properties in order to pay for my expenses. I'm going to live abroad for 3 years, hopping from place to place, a month in Mexico, 2 months in Greece, 3 months in Africa, a week here, a week there, however I see fit. And then I'm going to come back and work. And my full retirement will be at 52. Now, I've planned it that way because I have some health issues that I may not live to see 65. So I'm not going to wait till 65 to see if I still got some go in me, see if I can find peace then. I'm going to live now and I'm going to enjoy life now. So where to start in preparing yourself for retirement? First of all, create an account on ssa.gov to see how much they're planning for you to have when you retire. Look at your current retirement status and benefits as determined by the government, and then create a retirement budget to determine your actual need. And that's going to be based on the lifestyle that you want to live. If I'm going to live in Greece for 3 months, currently this is how much it costs. But by that time, I'm going to increase that by 20% because prices are going to go up. So then you can start to set a budget for your retirement. And then you can you can work backwards and determine how much you need to be saving now. Or when I say saving, I mean investing. You pull it back and then you send it out to make more money for you. You gather your funds and then you send them out on a mission. Hey, go make more money for me. Whether you're buying stocks or crypto or houses or wholesaling in your self-directed IRA or lending out of it. There's so many things that you can do. So start thinking about those goals, because truth be told, if it is to be, it is up to me. If it is to be, it's up to me. So you get to determine when you'll retire and what that will look like when you do retire. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on the expert in self-direction, and that is Amanda Holbrook. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about Amanda before I bring her on. Amanda has 13 plus years in this business for self-directed retirement accounts. Prior to that, she has 5 years experience in turnkey real estate. Okay, everyone on here, or most people in here are familiar with real estate investing or invest actively. So Amanda has experience with that, plus the self-direction piece. She knows all of the laws, all of the back doors into success, and all of these wealth building tips. She is passionate about what she does. She is easy to work with, and she makes this whole process seem so simple that even her kids self-direct. Amanda, are you with us?
So I am with, for those of you that I'm meeting for the first time, awkward handshake over the Zoom complete. I do work for a specialized trust company that we are a passive custodian, and I'm going to give you the radio voice disclosure so we can get off this and out of the fun stuff. Ready? Specialized Trust Company is a passive custodian. We do not recommend or endorse any specific investment or investment sponsor. We're not attorneys or SCPAs. Don't offer legal advice, tax advice, or endorse any specific investment or investment sponsors for infotainment purposes only. And let's rock. Okay.
Awesome.
I think I've only done that a million times. Okay, so let's get into the account types, because there's kind of two categories here. You know, you have personal accounts and you have business accounts. All right. On the personal side, guys, I always ask, well, how do you get an IRA? Like you hear, I always talk about how you can do it for kids. Those are some of the best vehicles. If you have a heartbeat, earned income, and a social security number, boom, you have a Roth IRA. But a lot of us on here are operating as a business or operating under an LLC, so $6,000 to $7,000, that's a good bucket. But if I told you there's a way to put away, maybe up to $67,000, that sounds a bit more attractive, So we're going to get into both of these. So you have traditional and Roth on the personal side. You have SEP Simple, and we're going to talk about the triple threat here too, is the Roth Solo 401k. But that's what we do in kind of the one-on-ones and figure out what's the best for you. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, I get this one all the time, guys. And you may have done this too. You may be looking like, oh man, what can I self-direct? Logging in your Fidelity account and trying to see like, oh, what can I do? A self-directed account, okay, is one, it's not like the ones, and I hear this like a couple times a week, guys. You log onto an account and it literally says self-directed on the screen. But if you are picking something off the screen, that is not self-direction. Self-direction is when you can do everything that JoAnna has talked about outside of your retirement account inside. You can do real estate, rentals, sub-twos. You could do private lending, tax liens. I have clients that breed cattle in their retirement account. It's investing in what you know. Okay, that's the point. I don't have like a bunch of cattle behind me or anything like that. I'm just giving the examples here. Okay. Real estate happens to be one of the, basic needs, of every human on the planet, so it is a go-to. I think everyone on here is a real estate investor. It's a way to give value and have kind of that warm and fuzzy feeling because you're dumping back into your community and bringing it all up at the same time. So all of these accounts here, I want you to start thinking beyond yourself. Because JoAnna, I did not realize how many siblings you had. I don't know how I missed that to this date. I've known you for some time. I'm sitting back here, I'm like, holy. We get you that family plan. It's unlimited household accounts for the whole family. But my point is, you do for your family, right? That's why, when we're talking about being on a beach and traveling, et cetera, it's not just for us, it's who we're with, so that's where we'll kind of plug all of these in together. So let's hop on to the next one. All right. So who can set up an IRA? Guy has some money, and it's important how you report that money. So as far as making a contribution, all right, you have to have earned income, you guys. And this is the same thing for setting business accounts. Okay. Earned income is 1099, a W-2, earned income in the company from services rendered or products sold. It is not, passive income, dividends from a stock portfolio, pensions and annuity, child support, alimony. These are all things that do not qualify as earned income. Okay. So that's another thing too. When you're setting up your LLC and you're going to set up that solo 401k that we'll talk about a lot, you have to have some type of earned income coming in there. I don't care if it's a referral fee a year and the rest of it's all rents, that works. Okay. But those are some important little tidbits that I don't think is ever explained just in black and white. It's kind of like, oh, sure, I can have it. But remember this when it comes to your children. Okay. I'll circle back on that later. All right, let's keep rolling. So this is my favorite, the Roth IRA. Everyone, I want to see everybody's lips move. Say Roth IRA. Roth. Okay. Now I want you to think tax-free. Everybody's got to sing it. Tax-free. I know I can't hear you, but I can see your lips moving because you know why? You're all smiling. Everybody smiles when they say tax-free. Like it just happens. This I want to, if any nugget sticks with you, this is the one. Okay. Because you pay the tax on the seed and not the crop. Okay. If I gave you the opportunity and you can't look at the news without hearing about inflation and how expensive things are. And it's not getting cheaper to live, guys. So if you have the option to live in a taxable or a tax-free environment, which do you choose?
Tax-free all day.
Free, right? All day. All day. So the more we can get into this environment, the better off we'll be at the end of the day. And I love that you were talking about Social Security because this Roth, that only came around in 97, guys. Senator Roth created the Roth IRA in 97. Lots of great things came out of the 90s. Okay. This is one of the best. You know why? Because they figured out Social Security was running bankrupt. By the time the original projections were, by the time my kids graduate high school, it won't be there. So when you were talking about, I love the explanation of how you put it, that 20%, will cover, how do you fill that gap? I mean, we all know gap funding because we're all real estate investors, right? That's like the ultimate gap funding formula you need to figure out. The other thing too is to figure out, you have to plan for your health. I think that's one of the number one things I see with clients and families that I work with as they're planning for retirement. They don't calculate that our health expenses go up as we age. This is a horrible analogy, but think of yourself like a car. As the car gets older, it requires more maintenance. And sometimes it's harder to get those parts in, so you have to kind of budget that when we're putting together the portfolio. All right, let's roll on to the next because we're going to talk about Roth IRAs for kids here in a bit.
Before we go to that, can you talk about the difference between traditional and Roth?
Yes. So guys, when I'm saying pay the tax on the seed and not the crop, that is one tax environment, and there's only two. Okay. The other one is a traditional IRA or traditional tax environment. It's called tax deferred. Okay. It is the adult version of that old game, kick the can. But in this case, it's kick the taxes because the taxes are just deferred down the road until you're age 59 and a half. Because at that age, Uncle Sam says, oh, sure, you can take your money out without getting slapped on the wrist. However, you will pay ordinary income taxes when you pull those out. So I go back to my inflation statements. Are taxes going up or down? Give me thumbs up or thumbs down. They're going up. Correct. So that's where, you have to have, when you hear of, financial professionals talking about tax diversification, this is what they're talking about: tax deferred versus tax free. And the solo K that we'll talk about, that I know a lot of you on here have or will have at some point, gives you the best of both worlds. So thank you for reminding me to kick on that.
So I'm going to share now how I've used this strategy. So I thought this was like voodoo. Okay. This doesn't really happen. Nobody ever talks about this in my previous world. Self-direction wasn't a thing. You either had a 401k through your job or you waited for a pension or something. That was it. So when I was introduced to self-direction, I thought, well, this has got to be illegal. So I'm just going to put a little bit of money into a self-directed account. So I started with $500. That was as risk averse as I would get. And then I kept hearing about it. I was like, okay. Well, my down payment on a wholesale, my earnest money deposit is going to be $500. So I need some more money in there. I'll put in a little more money. So I ended up putting in up to $2,500. So I had $2,500 in this account, and this opportunity came to me from Facebook. So I was doing some Facebook advertising, and someone from Flat Rock, North Carolina called me. Now, I had never heard of Flat Rock, never been to Flat Rock, and I'd never seen this house before. So the lady was getting ready to lose her entire house because she had not paid the taxes. She owed $5,000 in taxes. So these had accumulated over the years. She owed $5,000 in taxes, and she didn't have it to pay. And there was, some damage in the house, but she was still living there. So they already had an auction date and everything. So she called me distressed. Well, actually, her daughter called me distressed. And I spoke with her and I spoke with the seller. And I said, okay, well, here's what I can do. I can pay the taxes and give you a little time to get your things together, because she was going to go live with her daughter, but she couldn't go right then. So what I did was I put the property under contract. We settled on the price. So we settled on $55,000 is what I would buy the home for. It's a double wide mobile home. And I paid the taxes. So I put this under contract in the name of my self-directed IRA. So my self-directed IRA is the one doing this deal. I had $2,500 in my self-directed IRA. That's not enough to pay the taxes. So what I did was I borrowed $5,000 from my nephew. He became my private money lender. I used his $5,000 to pay the taxes. I bought the property on seller financing. So I didn't pay her $55,000. She, in turn, wrote a note. She became my private money lender with her equity. And so she wrote, we did loan documents for $55,000, which is what she was selling it to me, at 0% interest. I allowed her to live there for another 3 months while we fixed the house. And when I say fix, this was a prehab. So we just cleaned up the yard and we helped her pack up her stuff and leave. Now, when I say we, I'm not even talking about me. I never set foot in that house. I had another Fortune Builder student in the area go and do all those things for me. I hired a junk removal company. I hired a landscaper, and I paid for that money out of my paid for those expenses out of my self-directed IRA, the $2,500 that I had. And so then I sold the property for $100,000 to a retail buyer, well, something like a retail buyer. And so then the profits from that deal went into my IRA tax-free. So then I had $40,000 in my self-directed IRA.
Did you pay any capital gains, JoAnna?
Huh?
Did you pay any capital gains on that deal?
No, I paid nothing. I paid nothing on it. I then had $40,000 in my self-directed IRA. As I run those numbers by you again, paid $55,000 for it, Full leverage is $60,000 because I borrowed $5,000 from my nephew. $6,000 total in expenses. Time frame was 3 months. And I sold it for $100,000. The bonus is that it was seller finance. Okay. And so then what I did was I took that money and I bought another property. Now this property I actually bought with the self-directed because I went from $2,500 to $40,000. I bought this property for $25,000 in Fayetteville and kept it as a rental. This is all in my Roth self-directed IRA. Bought it for $25,000. Leveraged $10,000. So I got a loan from a different nephew. He became my private money lender. And we had about $5,000 expenses in getting it up and running. Rented it for a year. The rent cash flow was $500 a month going right back into my self-directed IRA. And so it cash flowed every month, $500. Every month, $500 going in tax-free. And then I paid my nephew off in a year. So this is the power of what you can do with a Roth self-directed account or any self-directed account. And so I have grown from $2,500 of my own individual money, infinitely.
So everybody grabs like the gravity there. How many, I mean, you don't have to raise your hand, but if you're in the stock market right now, what's the stock market been doing? Has it been up or down? Yes, it's been down. I've had some pretty like jaw dropping, and I'm sure you probably figured out, like, I don't have a poker face. I had to sit on a Zoom earlier this week with a client that has taken over a 300K hit in 30 days in the stock market. That is lack of control, you guys. I mean, imagine taking that hit. That's like, I literally had to like pick my jaw up and try not to make them feel bad. Okay, so I'll digress. You very well done, JoAnna. So the two types of accounts you have right here. Okay, does anyone give me a thumbs up in the chat if you've heard of these before? SEP, simple. These are types of IRAs for businesses. If you have a W-2'd employee other than you or your spouse, this is what I want you to look at. Some of you may or may not be in this boat, but this is one with small businesses inside and outside of real estate. They tend to not know that these exist. These are all tax deferred accounts, meaning you put that money in the account, it reduces your taxable income. Where a SEP IRA, you can do up to 58K for a year. That will definitely move the tax needle, and simple is a little bit less, just right around that 14K mark, but it reduces, if you see that 1 to 3% match, how much that you as an employer have to pour into your employees' accounts. So I won't spend too much time on this. I don't know how many people we have that are in this boat, but I do want you to know, if you have W-2'd employees, a very expensive, like multi-person corporate 401k plan is not your only option. And you are able to self-direct these. So everything that we've talked about today, you can do right within those plans. All right, what do we got next here, JoAnna? All right, so solo Ks, HSAs, and CISAs. Some of you may not know what some of these acronyms mean. We are full of acronyms. I literally have an acronym test for our new hires that's over 150 and growing. But an HSA is a health savings account. How many here, give me something in the chat here if you have a high deductible health plan? Per the IRS, a high deductible health plan is like $2,700 deductible. Okay, I know JoAnna does. Okay, this is the typical plan for entrepreneurs, guys, because although the deductibles are higher, the monthly premiums are lower. So it's usually the default type of plan. I'm not a health insurance expert, but I am an HSA expert, and I want you to listen closely. This is the only double dip account. I repeat, the only double dip account. It goes in tax deferred, but it grows tax free, and it grows tax free forever. And you can use it today for health expenses. You can use it for health expenses going back 3 years. And that deal you just saw JoAnna do, you can do right within the account. Let that sink in. if you have a perpetually growing investment, such as a rental property, that's kicking off an additional $500,000, $1,500 a month in your HSA, growing tax-free, that now takes your health expenses off of the weight of your shoulders. So getting that picture of, retirement on the beach and traveling even more towards reality, because you're taking those expenses, whether they're unexpected or not, off of your plate because they're paid for from this account. Your investments are paying for your lifestyle, including your health. For those of you that have an LLC, S Corp, C Corp, et cetera, all right, with no W-2 employees, this is the big one, all right? And I'm just going to give you the benefits right away, all right? And then I'll get to more of the technical stuff, but I'm going to keep this simple because you're a solopreneur, you get the same advantages as those big companies. If you've ever participated in like employer sponsored 401k, you only saw the employee side. Now you get to have your cake and eat it too. So I'm going to show you how you can put up to $67,000 away a year. You're going to get both tax deferred and Roth in one plan, which there's a huge tax strategy there I can get super nerdy on. Again, I'm not a CPA, but it's a biggie. A restriction-free loan. How many of you need capital for a deal right now? How many of you want cash flow in your pocket today versus in retirement? Yeah, no, I mean, like, hey, I'm nowhere near retirement right now, but I would love to use some of this as capital to go into a deal to cash flow in my pocket. 401ks do that, guys. You can do a restriction-free loan, 50K or 50% or 50K, whichever's first. So if you have a $100,000 account, you can do 50K. If you have a $500,000 account, it's still only 50K. If you had an $80,000 account, it's 40K. Got it? And then you pay yourself back with interest. I'm going to repeat that. It's like zero cost of capital. You pay yourself back with interest over a 5-year period. The rate's prime +2, so it's like 5%. So as long as you're earning more than 5% on your deal, which majority of us do, that spread goes right into your pocket. That's huge. And I know I saw OPM flash on there, but do we all believe in the power of leveraging? Do we all believe in the power of leveraging? Give me a, OPM in the chat. OPM, leverage other people's money. That is how you get to your goals quicker, period. All right. This is the only type of plan that exists that you can actually leverage without incurring taxes. It's called UBIT tax, unrelated business income tax. Because Uncle Sam's not that nice. So you had to make sure you're working with the right team and have the right type of vehicle. So let's say you have a $200,000 IRA, 401k. You make it self-directed to a solo K. If you have $200K, you can go out and buy minimum $400,000 worth of investments. Do you guys follow the gravity of that? You can buy double the amount of the assets with the capital in your retirement account. So it's all tax sheltered. Just has to be a non-recourse loan. Yeah, so I'll get off of this soapbox, but that's huge. Think of rentals. Think of stacking rentals. For those of you that do, does anybody on here do BRRRR? The BRRRR strategy? Give me a BRRRR in there if you're doing the BRRRR strategy, where you buy it, you renovate it, you rent it out, you refinance, and you repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. All right. Okay. I like it. Not yet. BRRRR. All right. This is how you can BRRRR in the retirement account. You literally acquire the property, either using part of your own money as well as a non-recourse loan. You fix it up, get it rented, and then you get a non-recourse lender on a long-term note, 30-year fixed typically, to refinance and cash out. And that cash out money goes right back into the retirement account. And then you do it again and again and again. Do you guys follow? That's huge. I can go on this one for days because this is, like I said, the triple threat. All right. So OPM, other people's money. We say OPI around here, other people's IRAs. Not the nail polish, but you can. So who in here think of your friends circles or college buddies or just your network, JJ. How many folks have retirement accounts? Give me a 401k IRA in the chat. These are all private lenders. When they say your net worth is your net worth, like that is not a cliche statement. It absolutely is. And if you, as the real estate investor, as the entrepreneur, as the business owner, you are coming to them with an opportunity to invest in your company and be the private lender from their retirement account on a project for you. For many investors, I find that they come up with just that little of just a mindset block of asking other people for money. And I want you to like erase the whiteboard, chalkboard, whatever is in your head. Just go ahead and erase it. Because other people's IRAs, 401ks, if they're all in the stock market right now, are they nervous? Are they shaken? Is there just insecurity and fear? If you came in the room, just straighten your cape a little bit because you have a tangible, secured investment option for them to do in their retirement account. It is just a matter of having the right team, because you're not going to talk about everything I talked about here. You're going to say, oh, we work with some of the best in the business. Amanda over at Specialized will unlock your funds, have you ready to go in 2 weeks or less. That's all you got to say. And we'll exchange info. I'll take care of it. Let you know when it's ready. That's the easy part. You know what your next part of that conversation is? Sell yourself. Tell them why you need to work with you and your team in your market. Okay. So this is the jaw dropper number, guys. Did you know there was that much money in retirement accounts? I mean, 32 trillion with a T. There's a lot of money out there, guys. It's just a matter of asking. Is everyone on here? I know, JJ, you're huge on social media, getting yourself out there. Anybody ever go on LinkedIn to look for money? You know what happens on LinkedIn, guys? LinkedIn is a great platform because they always promote and congratulate when you've switched a job. Guess what someone typically has when they switch jobs? An old 401k. And guess what they can self-direct? That old 401k. So just I'm throwing just little nuggets out there for you guys to try to connect some of the dots that you're probably already doing to make profits, not only for yourself, but your family and business, just to be more seamless. Is this making sense? Give me like a thumbs up in the chat, or if all of this is kind of connecting the dots or plugging some holes in the boat of maybe some misconceptions that were out there before. Because the reason why, JoAnna, and God bless you, I love bringing you on here because the one thing I can't do, guys, is I can't recommend or endorse the investment. And JoAnna is some awesome case studies here of how she's used these tools. Like, you don't need a ton of money. I mean, $1,000 is all you need to start an IRA. So I want to make sure that that is accurate as well. Because how much money does it take to do a wholesale deal, guys? Nothing. Right? You do have to have some consideration with the IRA. So say $100 in the deal. But if you've got an assignment fee of 10, 15K, you just made 10 to 15K tax sheltered, tax free if it's in a Roth HSA or a Coverdell educational savings account. That's the federal college level savings account for your kiddos that can be self-directed. Some of you might have heard of 529s, but those are state specific. Yeah. So, I mean, this is some powerful stuff. Yes, sir. They can see you.
I'll jump in here, Amanda, because I definitely use other people's money. And I have a lot of private money lenders that have their funds with Specialized, with Amanda's company. And so this particular one is a rehab that I did here in Charlotte on Red Hickory Lane. It was a hot mess when I bought it. It had foreclosure notice on the door. There were squatters inside and spray painted all over. It was pretty scary to enter. But I was able to turn this around to a beautiful renovation that sold probably $30,000 more than what I asked for. So I was able to bring this back to life, and even better life. And I use all other people's money. So the rehab itself was $100,000. I mean, the purchase price was $100,000. I leveraged $150,000 from my private money lenders. I used 2 lenders because one didn't have enough to cover it all. So then I brought in a second lender that was family to the first. The total expenses were $65,000. So I did go over budget a little bit. It took me 6 months to get this done. And then I sold it for $250,000. I thought I was going to get like $210,000 out of it when I first bought the property. So with that, I made a profit of $70,000. And my first lender made a profit of $7,738 going back into their 401k. My second lender made $3,845 going back into their self-directed 401k. So that's for rehab. Now, I also use private lenders on my rental properties too. So this is a rental property. You're going to be shocked at the price. Okay. Don't worry about the price. But my point in showing this one that's a lot less, and if you're in California, the 100, 150 was really low to you too. But this one will then blow you away. So I paid $10,000 for this property. And I leveraged $12,000 from a lender, a private money lender through her 401k, her self-directed 401k. That was all she had in that one. She was just getting started. And she was the only lender there. Expenses were $35,000, and that a lot of that came from my own money, or money in the company rather. And 2 years I've had this property. Every month the lender makes $100,000 off of their $10,000, so that I pay my lenders 10% return on their investment. So every month they get $100 off their $10,000. It's a very secure investment. Extremely secure. They had a very low entry point, which was high entry point to them because that's all they had. But they're still able to make 10% return with this rental. This is pretty rare in this market now that you can get a house that low. It needed a lot of work, but I was able to get it that low and continuously pay this lender $100 every month. So you can do it with little money or big money. Doesn't matter. Monthly rent is $800. So of that $800, only $100 goes to pay my lender and the rest comes to me for putting the deal together. Of course, I have to pay taxes. So Amanda, actions equal results. Tell us what's next. What are you offering them today?
Okay, so I'm always a giver. So the number one thing, I mean, what's the commodity, everybody? It's not money, it's time. So in the spirit of networking, I want to make sure that I dedicate my time to each and every one of your goals. So if you look in the chat, I'm going to give you all a link to my calendar right here. And then it's just time trade count. Some of you may use Calendarly, but just hop on, ask your questions. Let me see how I can help you out as far as like where you're at, where you're going. It may be just, hey, I need to use some other people's money. How can I get this part of my business automated? You know, it can be, I need to do something for my kids, HSA, or, you know, I need to pay less in taxes. Just feel free. Don't hesitate to ask. I mean, April 15th is coming up here, guys. Do you know you can still put in for Roth IRAs, HSAs, 401ks, CISAs until April 15th for 2021? And they changed the solo K rules. So you can still put in for the employer side until April 15th plus extensions if you're on the extension bus with yours truly. Wow. That's huge. That's huge. I used to cut it off at the end of the year and it kind of sucked. But now that that's open, that's good. That's because most entrepreneurs always extend. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. But also, as far as resources are concerned, I'm going to give you guys a link to our free field guide. I know some of you have been messaging like, oh my gosh, this is great stuff. It's so much. I promise you, we make it super duper simple, like a step 1, 2, 3. But that's a great one is simply, it's not like reading the revenue code. I mean, put on your PJs. I know it's snowy here in Ohio. Cuddle up on the couch and pop some popcorn and take a read. Like it's that super simple. But yeah, I would love to connect with each and every one of you. You know, if I can help you out as far as, like we've done for JoAnna and Liz. Can we all like just give a round of applause for Liz? When I talk to Liz, I'm gonna toot your horn for you. Okay. She left corporate because she said, I'm sick and tired of this, you know what? And I ain't taking it anymore. I'm going to live my life by design. And she made a huge leap. And I am just over excited, like getting goosebumps here, giving you kudos because you did it. I know. I remember she had 1,000,002 questions, which I love. I love questions, guys. And she went and implemented. And now she's scaling and having success. So I don't know where you're at, Liz, but way to go. I want to see next time we do this, I want to have some more success shout outs because that's the why, right? That's why we do this education. That's why I, I've got my kids clawing up my chair on a Saturday. But JoAnna, thank you. I appreciate you. And I'll echo on this, but if you don't know what questions to ask, and I get this from a lot of Fortune Builder students too, and other educational students, if you don't know what questions to ask when shopping a custodian, just ask me. I've worked for the largest in the company or the industry. I've worked in the private side, on the investment side, and obviously with specialized trust here. So I'll give you the lay of the land, unbiased, of course, and you do what makes sense for you.
So here are a couple of things that you want to look at when choosing a custodian. You want to know their fees. Are they annual fees? Are they per transaction fees? How are their fees structured? Are they getting paid when you do a deal, or is it a set fee? You want to know their response time. A lot of times when we're doing real estate, we need to close quickly. So we need to know that they can get their side of the transaction together as well if we're buying or selling in our IRAs or 401ks. We want to know what asset classes they will allow us to invest in and what we can legally invest in. We want to know their experience. How long have they been in the business? And do they work with real estate investors? We want to know if they offer checkbook control or if we need to go to them every time we want to do a transaction. And you should think about what's best for you. Me personally, I don't want checkbook control because I don't want to mess anything up. There are certain people that you cannot lend to or do deals with based on the laws of these things. So checkbook control is just going to keep me from harming myself. Not having checkbook control. And then you want to know if they have training opportunities. So a good custodian, IRA custodian, is going to have education around it because laws are constantly changing. The rules are constantly changing. And you want to know that they're being educated, that they're continuously doing some kind of professional development, and then educating you about new opportunities or how to invest in real estate with your self-directed IRA or stocks, or, there's so many ways to do this, but you don't know what you don't know. And so you want to make sure that you get custodian with some training opportunities. Now, we are ending our presentation. Your next steps are to set the vision for your retirement. Remember, dream big dreams too, not the rocking chair dream, although that might be a part of your dream. You want to calculate what that costs, what that's going to cost you in the future, then determine what you need to do now in order to have those things in place for the future. Open a self-directed account with Amanda or elsewhere, but Amanda is readily available to help you and well-versed. They offer the most types of accounts that I've seen in through many companies. Not every company can offer the self-directed HSA or Coverdale account. And then after you open an account, you want to start maximizing your returns. Remember, folks, actions equals results. So most importantly, take action for your future. Thank you, JJ. We're going to stick around a little bit, but feel free to come back in.
Wow. Gold nuggets raining from the sky. Oh my gosh. I can see all the pens taking notes as you guys were talking. People are like, is this going to be recorded? Yes, it's going to be recorded. JoAnna, Amanda, thank you so much. That was absolutely outstanding. Value. Thank you so much. If you guys are watching this recording on YouTube right now. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Down below on this video, please click like on JoAnna's video, and let's get this up there as far as the amount of views. But with this content today, I'm sure it's going to skyrocket as far as the number of views. Everybody else on the call, hang tight. We're about to pop into the breakout room, live networking, building relationships, followed by the Q&A. Everybody else, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Over and out.